Hello everyone, thanks for stopping in. Glad to see you here. Today we're going to be doing the socket machine on Hack the Box. And funny story, I actually just got done with my Twitch.tv live stream doing the same exact thing. However, I forgot to push the record button, so this is an after the fact recording. Typically I port the live stream over to YouTube unedited. However, this time around, because I forgot to push the record button, I'm doing a second take on this. So it's not going to be live, but it is going to be the same content nonetheless. If you're interested in watching me do these live, I do these Hack the Box machines every Saturday, noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And I'll be doing the latest Hack the Box retired machine as time goes on. Hopefully I can see you on the live stream. I have a lot of fun with the live streams. And then the live streams have a little bit more user interaction and engagement. And quite frankly, I find them a lot more fun than just a regular recording. However, since I forgot to push record, I can't put it on YouTube without doing this recording. With that being said, if you're interested in Hack the Box, I am now an affiliate with Hack the Box. So if you want to sign up for Hack the Box, do so through my affiliate links. I receive a little bit kickback. You support the channel by signing up through my links, and you get an awesome Hack the Box subscription at no additional cost to you. It just helps me out tremendously. The links are down in the video's description. Before we get started, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be porting these from Twitch to YouTube every week, so be on the lookout for that. And there's going to be some other content on this channel down the pipe as well. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into how to pwn this machine and give you a in-depth walkthrough on Socket. So Socket is a Linux OS machine. It was released on March 25th, 2023. It is a medium difficulty box, and like I said, it just retired today. So for the machine overview, this is a sequence of events at a high level on what we're going to be doing to pwn this machine. We're going to get initial access and get the user flag by leaking user credentials through a SQL injection via a WebSocket. And once we're on the machine and we have the user flag, we're going to escalate our privileges to root through executing arbitrary code through script vulnerability. Just go ahead and leave full screen and we'll minimize this. We'll return to that here in a little bit. And let's go ahead and close out of this. So when we first get a box, we always want to do an initial nmap scan. So to do that, we're going to run a command like this. So we always want to run a sudo when we're doing a syn scan, because you need sudo root permissions to do a syn scan. And it's going to be nmap -p -p means all ports, so that's all 65,535 ports. And then the IP address to get this is from the Hack the Box dashboard, so we can click it to copy our clipboard back to our terminal, paste it in there, and then dash lowercase s and dash capital S. So this means we're doing a syn scan. Also known as a stealth scan. The reason why it's called a stealth scan is because this used to be considered stealthy. It's not so much stealthy anymore. However, it is a lot more stealthier than a full connect scan. A full connect scan would be dash lowercase s capital T. The T stands for TCP, and then the capital S stands for syn. And the main difference is that the syn scan isn't a full connection, and that's why it's faster than a full connection scan. We can also speed it up by doing dash capital T and 4. I like to do T4 because, like I said, by default it's T3, and to speed it up we can do dash T4. It goes all the way to T5, however I don't like to do dash T5 because T5 is so fast that sometimes it can miss ports. So I like to tone it down a little bit because I haven't had any missed ports from doing a dash T5. So that being said, we can run this command and we will get, I think I messed up my password. There we go. So now the scan is running. This could take anywhere this usually takes quite a bit of time because once again we're scanning all 65,535 ports. So in the interest of time, we're not going to run this whole scan. I actually have the scan results saved to a file already. So if I do a cat ports.txt, these are the results of running this scan right here. So we have port 22 open, most likely run SSH as indicated by SSH on the server section here. We have port 80, most likely running a web app as indicated by HTTP here. And then we have something running on 5789, and we don't know what this is. Mmap doesn't know what this is, and we'll be examining this here in a little bit. But first, I like to do, if I see port 80, that's the first thing I like to check, because web apps are, especially with Hack the Box, are a common way to gain initial foothold. So let's go ahead and check out port 80. To do this, we can open up our web browser and open up a new tab. Paste the IP address in your web browser and press enter. As you can see here, it says this site can't be reached. It says check if there's a typo and qreader.htb, and also you can see it redirected to qreader.htb. So basically what's happening here is the IP address is redirecting us to qreader.htb, and our computer doesn't really know what to do with it because it's on an entry in our Etsy host file, and our DNS records with our DNS server doesn't have anything on qreader.htb. This is pretty common with Hack the Box. So most web apps on Hack the Box, you have to do this for. It's a very simple fix. It's not a fix. This is by design. But if you run in this issue, it's you're just gonna modify the Etsy host file. So we want to do a sudo. You have to be running as root to edit the Etsy host file. So sudo nano/Etsy host, and then put an entry in the file. So the IP address of our target, and then we want to do qreader.htb and save this file. Oh, not sure what I just did. Let's go ahead and save it. Hit enter. Let's see what that took. Cat. There we go. So we count out the file. We see we got our IP address of our target and qreader.htb. Awesome. Go back over to our web browser and refresh the page. And when we refresh the page, we should get the app loading up, as you can see here. So we got QReader, that's the name of the app, and what is it? It is basically it takes text, it turns into a QR code, and you can do this here on the web app, and you can actually, if you scroll down, you can download the app and you can run the app offline locally on your machine. And initially I thought this was like the way we can gain initial access is through this QReader app. However, that's not the case. I downloaded it on my machine, I ran it, I looked at all the code, I looked at all the files, and I just couldn't see anything with this app, either through the web app or on the local version on my machine that I was running offline. I just couldn't find any useful information, so I ended up chalking up as a huge giant rabbit hole, and we're not really going to be pulling any information here. I do want to show that because that was the first thing that I checked when I first did this, and like I said, I didn't find anything fruitful here. So with that being said, if we go back to our ports.txt, we have 5789 running. So let's go ahead and copy that in our clipboard. And to check this port, one thing we can do is just do a qreader.htb colon and then the port 5789. Hit enter on this. And as you can see here, let me zoom in so you can see it better. So we have failed to open a WebSocket connection, invalid connection header, keep alive. You cannot access a WebSocket server directly with a browser, you need a WebSocket client. So essentially what this is telling us is we made a successful connection to port 5789. It's confirmed that this is a WebSocket, however we can't connect to it with a web browser. That's fine, we need to figure out another way to connect to this. And the one way you can do this is with Python. Python, it has many uses. This is one of the uses for Python, And I'm gonna pull up my guide now to explain this better. This guide is on my website, kyserclark.com. It's the name of it on my blog is Hack the Box Socket Walkthrough. And I wrote this guide for this machine. I don't write guides for every machine, but this is one of the ones I did. And yeah, let's go ahead and explain this a little bit better. So WebSockets are a protocol used to create a bidirectional connection between a client and a server. They allow real-time data transfer and are commonly used in chat applications and online gaming platforms. However, WebSockets are vulnerable to SQL, the structured query language injection attacks. Just like traditional web applications, in a SQL injection attack, SQLI, an attacker can inject malicious SQL code into a query, allowing them to perform unauthorized actions on a database. To check for SQL injection vulnerabilities in a WebSocket, we can use a script like this one. And there's a script that we're going to be running to test to see if this is vulnerable to SQL injection. So what we would do is we can copy this, and I highly recommend, rather than hand jamming this into your own machine, if you're following through this walkthrough, go to kyserclark.com, check out this blog post, and grab this code. Because I've learned throughout the years that if I'm doing code and I'm copying, copying pasting is not only makes things faster, but it makes things, you're less likely to do typos when you copy and paste. So even my own code I copy and paste most of the time, because typos are real. So like I said, copy and paste, man, it's the champion. So what we would do is we would do like nano and then whatever we want to call the file, so SQLI and .py, and then we paste this code in here. I already have this saved, so I'm not going to overwrite that or make a new file. So if I do cat SQLI0.py, and this is the same exact code that that I just showed you. And let's go back to my guide so I can explain this a little bit better. This script sends a version query to the WebSocket server and injects a malicious SQL code into the query. Specifically, it uses the union select statement to concatenate the results of two separate select queries. If the server is vulnerable to SQL injection, the response from the server will contain the results of both queries. So let's go ahead and run this and see what that looks like. So to run it, very simple, it's Python 3 and then the name of whatever you called it. I called mine SQLI0.py. This takes a few seconds to run. And we get this. What the heck does this even mean? So this basically confirms that we have a SQL injection vulnerability here. So this is from my guide that I've already written. It's funny that I wrote this guide so long ago when this machine first came out, and I finally get to show it to the world. That's the only downfall about Hack the Box is we gotta wait, 17, 18, 19, 20 months for a machine to get retired before we can show it. But yeah, I wrote this a long time ago, and finally I'm so glad to be able to show how this machine works to everybody. So anyways, this indicates that we can inject arbitrary SQL code into the query and retrieve sensitive information from the database. To further enumerate the database and extract information, we can modify the script to inject different SQL queries. For example, we can attempt to enumerate usernames and passwords with the following. So this right here, so in the payload, this one right here, the union keyword is used to combine the results of two separate SQL queries. The first query selects a version string, and the second query selects the username and password fields from the users table. The -- space dash at the end is a comment that will ignore any remaining text in the SQL query, preventing SQL syntax errors in the payload. And when you run this, let's go ahead and run this. So I got this saved in a file called SQLI1.py. when you run this, we get an ID of admin, and we get this, which if you've been doing captured flags or you've been hacking for any amount of time, you might realize this is a hash, and that's exactly what it is. This is a password hash. We can take this and we can run it through Hashcat or John the Ripper and crack the hash relatively easily. However, what's even more easy that a lot of people, to be honest, I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but a website that I really love to use is hashes.com. So hashes.com basically has like a bunch of hashes that are just stored, and if you put a hash, it automatically detects what kind of hash it is, and if it has the password, the clear text hash in the database, it will just give it to you. So we hit submit and search, and as you can see, it finds this password very easily. And this is actually my go-to tool when I find hashes. I actually check hashes.com first before anywhere else. And then if you don't have success here, don't sweat it, because you can still use Hashcat and John the Ripper. However, this is always going to be faster, so this is why it's always my first stop. And yeah, a lot of people don't really talk about hashes.com, but man, this has saved me so much time during capture the flags and certification exams. So highly recommend checking out hashes.com before you start cracking hashes on your local machine with Hashcat and John the Ripper. So anyways, we got the password here, and if we go back to our terminal, and remember we had this admin here, and we can try this password with admin, and we can try root, and we can try a bunch of other usernames, but we don't really find any success with it, unfortunately, via SSH. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to use these login credentials on SSH, and they don't work, which is unfortunate, but that doesn't mean we should give up. We just need to try harder. We need to figure out some valid usernames that might go with this password. So to do that, let's go back to my guide here. So this is exactly what I just explained to you. So yeah, let's go back to our SQL injection. We can enumerate the tables in the database by injecting the following code. So essentially this right here, and I didn't really explain this. Let me do this a little bit better. Cat SQLI. We're going to be doing .2. So this right here all stays the same, and all of this stays the same. So from SQL injection query to SQL injection query, only thing we're changing is this version equals here. So from file to file, this is the only thing that we have to change, which is why I didn't keep putting this in here, just because all of this stayed the same for every query that we were doing. The only thing we're changing is this version here. Yeah, you can see once again replace the version variable in a SQLi 0 pi and leave everything else the same. So anyways, this query selects a name of all tables and databases that do not begin with SQL ITE underscore. The results will be concatenated and returned as the first column of the response. So let's go ahead and run it. See what happens. To run it, same thing, Python 3 and then the name of it. In this case, it's SQL i2.py. Right? Is that what we're on? Yeah. So we get this. What does this mean? So this is basically, we just enumerated the tables. Let's go back to my guide so I can explain a little bit better. So yeah, we can use this information to extract the column names from the answers table. That's the key thing. We use this to find the answers table. There's multiple tables, so we got versions, we got users, we got info, reports, and answers. And you can check these other fields. However, there's really nothing interesting in these. The main thing that we're paying attention to is the answers. And to make a query to answers, we're going to be doing this. And So we would paste this. Oh, my cat just jumped on my lap. He's here. You want to be a celebrity, huh? You want to be in a camera? Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's adorable. We got a guest star. We got a guest star this episode, guys. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait. I'm not cutting this out either. I only do one take. He's the cutest little baby. All right, all right. Back to the topic at hand. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna run this, and so to run this, it's Python 3 SQLi 3.py. And once we run this, we get this message here, and someone's talking to Thomas Keller. Mike is basically, moral of the story is this message doesn't really matter. What matters is the Thomas Keller. That is a potential username, and if you try to use that password that we found over here on hashes.com, if we use this with like a bunch of different combinations of T Keller, eventually we're going to find out that T Keller actually works. So we do SSH T Keller at, and then the IP address of the machine. We get that from our dashboard and Hack the Box. And then hit enter on that. And then the password when it's asks us. And if you're connecting for the first time, it's going to ask you to accept the fingerprint. You would just hit yes on that. And then you would hit the password. So copy. And then we'll paste the password in there. And boom, we are T Keller. So the first thing you should do when you're a new user is check your permissions and see what's in the home directory, because there's a lot of good information in the user's home directory. As you can see here, we have a user.txt, cat user.txt, and that is our user flag. You would copy this and put it in your dashboard and Hack the Box to capture the user flag. Awesome. Now all we need to do is escalate our privileges from tkeller to root, and we have pwned this machine. So to do that, the first thing you should always do one of the first things you should always do is a sudo -l. Hit enter on that, and this is going to tell us what we can run as root. And as you can see here, so user tkeller may run the following commands on socket. And that is /user/local/sbin/build installer.sh. So tkeller can run this as root, and essentially this is a script that we can take advantage of to escalate our privileges of root. So we can do let's go ahead and cat. I'm doing the cat command with a cat on my lap right now. He's my study buddy. He's basically a pro hacker at this point. For as much time he spends on my lap while I'm hacking. Anyways, let's go ahead and cat out this file and see what's going on here. Oh, hi. You want to say hi? Look at him. His name's Pikel, by the way. His brother's name is Michael. If you're a Rick and Morty fan, you would get that reference. But Michael and Pikel. This one's Pikel. Oh, let's lift him up. Oh, look at him. Hey, hi, Bubba. Hi, baby. He's fluffy. Okay, alright. Back down you go. And, yeah, so here's the file. Sorry, if you don't like cats, I don't know. You're messing up. Cats are amazing. Anyways, we have this file, and if you read through it, we're not going to get into nitty gritty with this, but essentially, let's go back to my guide to, I think my guide is the best way to explain it. If we can exploit a vulnerability in the script, we can escalate privileges from the standard user to root, gaining complete control of this system. We can exploit the vulnerability by creating a PyInstaller SPEC file that executes arbitrary code when the binary file is built. PyInstaller is a tool that packages a Python script and its dependencies into a single standalone executable file that can be run on another machine without the need for a Python interpreter or any additional modules. In our case, we can create an SPEC file with the following code. And if it's pronounced spec, I don't know. I've only read this, so I don't know if it's SPEC or if it's actually called spec. So feel free to correct me in the comments down below. Like I said, I've only read this and I've never watched a video demonstration of a SPEC file. So anyways, this is what we're going to be running. This is the SPEC file. I call it exploit.spec. And essentially, we're just running bash and we're getting root permissions this way. So this code creates a PyInstaller SPEC file that executes the bash shell command bash when the binary file is built. We can then run the buildinstaller.sh script with root privileges with the following command, as you can see here. So before we run that command, we need to put this on a file on the target machine. So copy this. Once again, codes on kyserclerk.com. On my blog under the socket walkthrough. So we do nano and then exploit.spec, and then we'll paste this and we'll save it. And then if we do ls, this target machine is a little slow for me today for some reason, but it does work. So we can see the file here is exploit.spec. Let's go ahead and cat. And then this is exactly what we just pasted in there. So awesome. This file is on the target machine. Make sure this is on the target machine. This does not get ran on your local machine. This gets ran on the target machine as tkeller. And then if we grab the other command here, remember we got this straight from sudo-l. Remember, we got the user local sbin bin installer.sh. The only thing we're doing is we're running this command right here, and then we're doing the build argument with our exploit.spec file that we just put on the machine. And once we run this, we get a root permissions. Hit enter on that, and boom, root. We do a who am I and an ID, and we are root, baby. To prove this, we can do a cat /root/root.txt, and oh, I did not mean to see root.txt. I don't think that file's not on the system. So there we go. That is the root flag right there, and that's what you would submit on Hack the Box to for the root flag. And that is it. This machine, once again, is classified as medium. It's a little bit on the easier side, but I do agree with it being a medium because that's SQL injection for me anyways. I'm not a SQL injection master by any means, and that's why I had to use my guide to explain it to you, because it's a hard concept to grasp in my opinion, and SQL injection always takes trial and error with these queries. I didn't know these commands off the top of my head like right away. I had to do a lot of trial and error to figure this out, and then even more time was spent to writing this. So the SQL injection is a little bit more complex. I thought elevating my privileges through this was pretty self-explanatory, because it kind of just told us, like, you know, what we can run as root, and at that point it was pretty easy to figure out like how to actually escalate our privileges with the build installer.sh. Let's go ahead and do a recap here. Let's go full screen on this. So machine overview, for the initial access, once again, and the user flag, we leak credentials through SQL injection on the WebSocket. And then to escalate our privileges from tkeller to root, we execute arbitrary code through a script vulnerability. And then now that we've pwned it, let's go back to full screen. I did not mean to. So for remediation and defenses, what would I do to defend against this? If I was a cybersecurity analyst and I was in charge of this machine and I had to make sure that no one broke into the machine, what would I do? First and foremost, we need to get rid of this SQL injection vulnerability, because that's what really dumped the credentials for the T-Killer account. And to do this, it's input sanitation. That's the #1 thing we can do to stop SQL injection attacks. And then for the weak password, now the password really wasn't that weak. As you recall, it was like Dan, Jan, Jade, and then some numbers. To be honest, that's kind of a strong password. However, the problem with that password is that it's on a password list, and that's why I was on hashes.com. So don't use passwords on common passwords list, especially for accounts that have abilities to run scripts, because that's how we escalate our privileges. And then to thwart that that privilege escalation vector, we should restrict the script directory permissions and don't allow arbitrary code to run with scripts. So remember, we did the build installer.sh, and then we did build, and then we did our own exploit.spec code. Maybe don't allow any spec file to just run. Maybe only limit it to certain ones, and then maybe somehow look into the file before you just build it, and check for keywords such as like bash. You know, we don't want to escalate our privileges through this script with ease. So we should lock that down and do some more input sanitation and really check to see like what we're actually building before we just do it all willy-nilly, because that's how we escalate our privileges to root and end up getting full access to the system. And with that, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video demonstration. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. And once again, if you're interested in signing up for Hack the Box, check out the video description. I got affiliate links that help support the channel when you sign up. It's no additional cost to you. There's Hack the Box Academy, and there's Hack the Box, the base app. This is the base app, but the Academy has loads of content for you to learn cybersecurity skills that employers are really looking for. And yeah, there's all kinds of stuff on Hack the Box. I highly recommend it. I'm a Hack the Box VIP Plus subscriber myself, and I dabble in the Academy myself. I want to get into the Academy more. I'm just struggling to find the time to get on there, but I have used it, and it's a great platform. Hack the Box truly is like everything you really need to be an effective ethical hacker and cybersecurity professional. So if you're interested, check that out. Click my affiliate links and help support the channel. I would really appreciate that. And then I'd also appreciate if you hit the subscribe button here on my YouTube channel, and then check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/KaiserClark_cybersecurity. And then check out my website, KaiserClark.com. Follow me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Twitter. I'm all over the internet. And yeah, there's a lot more content on the way. We're going to be focused on Hack the Box for now, just because this is where my passion is. This is what I like to do. But we're going to dabble in some other cybersecurity content down the road. And if you have any ideas for the channel or anything that you want to see in particular, feel free to let me know, and I'll take in consideration. But like I said, for now, it's just going to be Hack the Box on Twitch, and we're going to port these videos to the YouTube channel. And yeah, but there's going to be some other content on the way. Anyways, enough with the rambling. I want to thank you so much for watching, and thanks for hanging out. You are truly an amazing person, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out. Take care. Have a good one. Kyser out.